what was the first job that you worked at in the golf business that you were able to teach?
Well, interesting. At Pleasant Hill Country Club, John O'Derda was the golf professional there, who was at Diablo Creek, great guy. A lot of times when I would be I started bringing up carts, working on that. A lot of times John would have appointments or things to go, and he'd say, Pat, can you come in and watch the shop? And that led to later on, I was 14 or 15, working in the golf shop at a very young age. So got to know the golf business there as far as dealing with members, and again fell in love early, not only teaching but just the golf business. I just loved the golf shop. I loved the atmosphere, the excitement, and I still am a big fan of pro shops.
Yeah.
I just love them.
Well, the business has changed a little bit, hasn't it?
It has.
In the past couple of years.
It has.
And, you and I have joked a lot about how much it's different and what a change emails have made to golf professionals. So give me a little bit about your insight. What are some things that have changed for the better, maybe, and some things that the old time pros maybe enjoyed?
Well, that's a great question. When I first, I worked at Diablo Creek Golf Course through college, and when I graduated with a degree in finance, the professionals at Diablo Creek liked what I was doing, and they said there was an opportunity and a job opening at Antioch Municipal Golf Course, which was a busy public golf course with about 100,000 rounds a year. And I was like 23 years old, and they said, why don't you apply? And they actually came to my interviews with me with the city council and so forth. I went through 3 interviews with the city council of Antioch, and actually got the job as head professional at 23 years old. So
Whoa.
Spent 26 years there as head professional, and a lot of it as general manager. And as you're talking about emails, but that was back in the time where people had to actually come up to you, and they had to, which was good. It was, I liked that. It was. I had a little book with me, and when they would say, hey, the range balls are getting kind of worn out, I would talk to them. Yeah, that's good. And it was good feedback, and I was able to write it down and take care of it, and everything was good. Whereas nowadays, sometimes that same situation might be turned around to where there's an email, and then other people involved with the email, and it goes from, the range balls are maybe too worn to what kind of range balls we should get, and da-da-da-da-da, and pretty soon, it just takes up a lot of time. So
Yeah.
I think that the golf professional now has to really balance a lot of his time, and I think you do a tremendous job with that.
Thanks.
I don't think people see you here so early in the morning or late in the evening catching up on those emails, because there's a big balance between being out there and being visible, but at the same time taking care of business. So
Yeah.
I think you're at top of the list with that.
Thanks. I appreciate that, Pat.
I really mean that.
Yeah. It's definitely the other thing I always remembered is golf cart rentals, right, back in the day. So the city owned the golf carts, obviously, right? You didn't own the golf cars. I have a friend whose father was a traveling head professional, so he was up in the Chicago area in the summer. He would travel down to Arizona in the winter, and so that to me is the golden age of golf professionalism, because the pros owned the fleets.
Right.
That wasn't a bad revenue source.
No. That's right. Exactly. Yeah, in the golf profession too, I think that there's too much turnover. I think you look at the great clubs in the area, and they've had professionals that have been there for 20, 30 years, and I think that's very important, because I think the professional is the face of the club, in my opinion, and when you have changeover, you have to start all over every time.
Yeah.
And I think members, and again, if you look at all the great clubs in our area, all of them had one thing in common. That was they had a golf professional who was devoted to that facility, and basically, wanted to just be there for his whole career. And
Right.
I think that's really important. I think sometimes a lot of young pros now are sometimes trying to look for a better job or more money, and I realized at Antioch we developed a great facility there through the 26 years. My superintendent that I had was with me for almost 22 years.
Yeah.
So I really think that it takes 4 or 5, 6 years before you really get to know the feel of the club and so forth. So I think that I'd like to see that trend coming back more.
Yeah.
Where pros are, they find that job at Antioch and at Lone Tree, which we named it later. I didn't look around because it was just, I knew that was the place for me, and all those players, just like the members here, became family.
Yeah.
And I think that's very, very important.
Yeah, well, I completely agree with your point about getting to know a club, right? This is my 5th year here, and it took me 5 years to get the team that I have today, and to get to know the members as well as I have. So, yeah, bouncing around it's not sustainable for a golf pro, right? Unless you want to be a teaching pro or work at a resort, right? But if you're in the private country club scene, you got to become part of the family.
Yeah, especially in teaching, because it's like a doctor. And that's what I miss so much right now. I miss my students tremendously because they are very, very strong friends of mine.
Yeah.
And there's trust, and you get to know their golf swing so well that they can almost call you and you can help them. So I think in a teaching standpoint, I've never understood why teachers move around so much either.
Yeah.
Because I think that's really unfair to the students. Students really bond to you. They pick a teacher,
Yeah.
and they want to know that teacher, number one, is so into them personally, but also that friendship that you develop and trust and feel is
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, it's super important. We're lucky to be here. It's a nice place. It's a nice fireplace to be sitting in front of.
Sure
I was going to
is.
pick some fireplaces. We've got a great view of Mount Diablo out here in front of us. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about what you can do at home to keep yourself in good swing shape and some great drills that Pat and I are going to talk through. Hope you're enjoying it so far. I sure am. And we'll look forward to seeing you guys shortly.